So life before Jesus, I don't know, I guess it's kind of hard to describe because it's more of a physical feeling. It's like empty, hollow sort of emptiness. I think the brokenness and emptiness sort of stems to, I guess, my parents divorced when I was 9. My dad took off when I was like 11, never heard from him again, so sort of abandonment. The things that I remember aren't necessarily happy. Yeah, I know there's happy memories in there, but they're sort of few and far between. I guess up until college, after that, was a lot of that emptiness and brokenness, so just the empty, hollow feeling in my chest of you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're broken, you're not desirable, you're not loved, you're not cared for. The way I sort of felt to fill that emptiness is start chasing down scholarships and awards and kind of fill the void a little bit, but it's only ever a temporary thing, and then it's almost like a drug in a way, it disappear, and then you need more to get that feeling back, to get more of that feeling back. I'd won a scholarship. It's a fairly significant scholarship, fairly significant event. There's a lot of industry tycoons. It was like 1,200 of them or something in the room. I just remember standing on the stage and that empty feeling still there. And this is sort of the highest level of any sort of achievement that like material achievement that I've reached, and thinking, well, if this isn't good enough, am I ever going to be good enough? To get rid of that emptiness, and then that emptiness never really went away after that. God's always sort of talked to me over time. Like there's always, I've just called it the little voice in the back of my head. I never really knew what it was, just I knew it's not a thought from me. And I learned to trust it and don't know what it is. I'll just call it the universe because that's the trendy thing that you do when you don't know God, you just call things the universe. During the final years of my uni, there's flyers all over the place, work visa for Australia, work visa for Australia. The little voice is kind of going, hey, you should do that. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know anybody in Australia, I've never been to Australia. Eventually I just said, okay, packed 2 bags, got on a plane, landed in Brisbane, didn't have a family, didn't have anywhere to live, didn't have a job. That ended up me traveling around the outback in a van for a month. Sort of ended up in Seaford in Melbourne, and see, I'd met who's now my fiance, and she'd invited me to church. So yeah, I went and then stood around in the room thinking, this is church? Like, what is this? But I kept coming back, and I guess the challenge for me was seeing all these people around me, and I know that they're having interactions with God, but I'm not. And I guess that feeling of brokenness was coming back saying, well, you're still broken, what's wrong with you? Like, you can't interact with God, you don't know who God is. Till sitting in next conference, and the speaker was praying over the room, just asking, what's the Lord telling you now? And just hear that little voice say, you are worthy, which when you feel like you're not worthy, is sort of hard to grasp. So I got to my car, and God just sort of crashed in, and it was just this really overwhelming experience. I couldn't move, couldn't think. All I could do is just cry. That was how I met God. Definitely feel, worthy, I guess. Loved is sort of the bigger one. Not abandoned, not rejected, not ignored. The things that come against me now almost seem small and insignificant because I know God's standing behind me, and God's there, and He's for me, and He's never not going to be there for me, and He's just always walking with me. It's a different perspective on life, I guess, which is what God ultimately does with all of us, is change our perspective on life, and it's a lot more happy outlook, a lot more wholesome outlook, a lot more loving outlook. And I guess if someone's feeling empty and not loved and not cared for, I guess I'd say to them, you are. You may not understand it or know it or even see it, but if you open your heart to the Lord and let Him come crashing in, then you'll understand. And it's a totally 180-degree way of thinking. totally, completely different way of life. Takes some adjusting, takes some getting used to, but at the end of the day, it's worth it, and it's a hard decision to make, like it is, but it's probably the best decision that person would ever make.